I still see people joining, which is good.
Hi everybody, and good afternoon, and welcome to today's Connect 2021 Trend Talks. Love that video, by the way. I'm joined today by Catriona McDonnell, who's the Senior Surface Partner Development Manager for Western Europe at Microsoft. And it's great to see you, Catriona. I hope you're doing fine in this latest period of lockdown. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly ready for a little bit of travel and potentially a nice meal out somewhere. But I hope you're keeping well.
Yes, thanks, Simon, and it's a real pleasure to be here. And yeah, just lockdown's been interesting. A little bit of cabin fever, dying to get out with everyone else, but yeah, we're making the most of it. Indeed,
indeed, indeed. Well, thank you all to everyone who's joining today. And you know, I was looking at that video and thinking, you know, ISE would have been what, two weeks ago. No doubt we'd have seen the Hub 85-inch front and centre of our Tiki Bar. But what's really nice to now finally say is that the Hub 85-inch has started shipping. We've started seeing the first installations happening. And Catriona, maybe you could give us some insight into where they're being installed first.
Yeah, so yeah, and it's really good news. So we were delighted on Monday, really the first 85 inches started to appear. So it's really great to be back with a large screen device. We were all very attached to the 84-inch from Surface Hub 1. So it's really good to be back with this new device. So in terms of in UK and Germany, I think they've already started shipping, I think about a week ago. In Western Europe, which is mainly the market that I'm focused on, we've seen a very high level of demand already. So we're pleased to see that. And what we've seen is a mix of Surface Hub 1 customers coming back to get more devices because they were already very happy with the experience from the first generation. Now, in terms of the customers that we're starting to ship to this week, I mean, we've seen a whole mix, not too dissimilar to what we saw with the first generation, but to give you an idea of the first shipments that we see going out, I think I see a lot of manufacturing companies, you know, large engineering companies that have them. So anything from semiconductor manufacturers to paint companies to robotics, energy company, utility companies, transport companies, and also consultancy and media type companies. So, you know, they are really investing in the 85-inch, and they're not. What we're seeing actually is it's not so much in the early orders of 1 or 2 devices, but they're really ordering a quantity of devices together. And the idea is really to get ready their meeting spaces, you know, for the return to work. But I think also it's more now they already have a requirement to have a large 4K screen for project coordination, command and control, and really to have a better connection with their customers and to leverage the whiteboard experience.
No, interesting. I mean, it's a wide range, obviously, of end user verticals that these are being deployed in, and I think we always thought with Hub One there was an awful lot of kind of proof of concepts, I suppose, that were happening, but really interesting now to see that, you know, those proof of concepts perhaps with Hub version 1 are now being fulfilled as a complete rollout with Hub 2. I know certainly from our side, where I think probably at about 75-80% of the volume of units shipped in about half of the period of life of the product. So definitely, even with the restrictions with the pandemic, we've already seen a really interesting and fast take up of Surface Hub 2. That the majority of which, of course, have been with the 50-inch before the 85-inch is launched, and there's quite a big difference in application between those two, between the 50-inch and the 85-inch. Are you experiencing the same, Catriona?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the 50-inch, what we're seeing, obviously the size of the device is very much determined by how the size of the room, the space, how they're going to use those devices. The 50-inch obviously is suitable for a smaller meeting room or even a collaboration space. It's highly mobile, so you can move it around. And then obviously you've got all the benefits of having your data and your whiteboard and so on. The 85-inch is really, and this is again reflective of the customers that I see ordering, and it's really, they want it for a larger meeting space. They really wanted to collaborate better with remote employees and customers. There are a lot of companies that need it for, like I said, projects, and so they want to be able to show their designs or their, you know, their specs or whatever, or be on a large screen. Or their apps, their own apps that they may have. So it's really around the large screen. I think also the benefit of a large screen is you also have that distance as well if there's a few of you working on the screen. So there is that too. But you know, and just to pick up on one thing, it's not just the first gen customers that we see interest in 85-inch. You know, we are also seeing, and we also have a pipe building up of customers that are waiting to do a proof of concept with 1 or 2 units so they can see. So yeah, I mean, again, it's the function of how they're going to use it, the meeting room space, but it's a lot. Definitely, what's interesting, and it's fun to watch. It's really around how they're using it for large projects and collaboration, especially.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to do my level best on this chat today, not to turn it into a pandemic or a collaboration game of bingo, but that new way of working, that new normal, that hybrid working. There you go. I've used 2 of those already, but you know, that new normal of people when they do start to return back to the offices. I really think we're going to see a lot of people working remotely, joining in those meetings, and certainly I think we've seen, and obviously we work together. We've managed to collaborate really well remotely for the last 12 months. Of course, it'd be great to get back together and sit around a table again, but you know, the way that people have managed that change in working. I think that the quality and the suitability of the Surface Hub is going to be a real asset to those people when they go back to the office, and bring those remote attendees into their meetings as well. I mean, on that, what's Microsoft's vision for the rest of 2021? What do you expect to see coming up?
Well, in terms, I mean, you mentioned an important trend. We've been talking about this trend around the hybrid workplace for some time. We're actually, none of us, I think, ever imagined we would see it accelerate, unfortunately, for all the wrong reasons, I would say. Yeah. But I mean, as Microsoft more globally, what we're seeing is obviously COVID has consolidated digital habits. And the digital transformation trends, and also with that, even the spend that's going into IT. And we see companies more focused on things you'd expect, like business resilience, secure remote work, and I will emphasize on secure, as well as obviously reimagining their business and how they can use, how they need to step change, given COVID and continue to drive growth. So everything has accelerated. So Satya Nadella, and he's in the recent earnings release, he talked about the dawn of a second wave of digital transformation sweeping every company and every industry. And what we see is that with the pandemic and with the acceleration of digitization, what we see is that, with this shift, 65% of all global GDP will be digitized. And what I mean by that is 65% of the GDP will be generated by companies that have undergone this digital transformation. And I think the other thing I would pull out for us and the relevance for us is that COVID has really put a spotlight on some critical competitive scenarios around, example, video conferencing. And this really creates a unique opportunity for us to help customers, in all our industries to really transform to deal with the new landscape and in a differentiated way. So, and then more specifically, what does it mean for Surface Hub, and what are we going to be focused on as we go on? So obviously we've just started shipping the 85-inch. So obviously we really want to continue to build on that and really drive more and more awareness and for that product. And obviously we'll see increased usage scenarios as well on that. So big focus on continuing to push that and the marketing efforts and running POCs with that. The other thing that you will see coming up towards the end of this month is that we have not forgotten our first gen customers. They're really important to bring them along. And so the Windows 10 Teams update will be available for Surface Hub first gen customers. And with that, Windows update will become available for the 55 and 84-inch devices. And so there's a whole, that's really the Hub 2S experience on the first gen devices.
On the first gen devices, yeah.
Yeah, and then we will continue to, obviously we continue to look at the roadmap. There's nothing to be shared right now beyond what we've already shared, but we are continuing to work on it, and we will be coming back on that. As well on the customer experience, we really want to build out more emphasis on the customer experience across the meeting team room devices and the Surface Hub as well. And we will focus a lot as well on some of the accessories and the ecosystem that go around it. And we want to really test some innovative customer offerings. So look and see what's the most relevant offers for customers to dip their toe in the water and try Surface Hub. In partner programs, again, right now we are focused on Hub in a hybrid world. We launched that in January. We will do another phase of that. We're going to have a strong focus on education and government, because this is where we really see, at least in the coming months, a big momentum, and we've seen that as well in terms of who's ordering the devices. Mm-hmm. We are also going to have a meeting room partner program, which is really around fast tracks support for customers, as well as enabling managed services for meeting team room partners. And then last thing as well is obviously the customer offerings. We have just recently updated a program which allows our own partners to try Surface Hub themselves at a unique price. So if our partners themselves want to try Surface Hub for internal use and for their own businesses, then they have an opportunity to do that. So I would say lots of stuff to keep us all busy. We are still very focused on recruiting more resellers to our ecosystem. So we would love to have the opportunity to talk to more resellers around engaging with them to sell Surface Hub.
Amazing. That sounds like a busy year ahead, Catriona.
It's 1 year. I think it's great. And you know, everyone's coming back to work because I'm looking at it on a positive side. We won't stay like this forever. So no. There's a real opportunity for us all to capitalize on that.
Oh, definitely. I think the thing I really love about working with you and working with Microsoft, you are extremely channel centric. You know, you're not trying to move the business out of the channel into a direct model. You know, you're very supportive of that channel structure, and I think from my side, I sometimes think there's a bit of a misconception in the channel that Microsoft are hard to get in to work with. But my experience is absolutely the opposite of that, and you know, great to hear you saying there. You know, we're looking to recruit. We've got all of these programs coming up, and the barriers to entry are not massive at all. I don't know if you could give us a quick view of that.
I will say one thing, it also helps to have a great partner like Take Data to help us with that. So, you know, we do that in tandem. And as you said, our resellers and our partners are super important for us. You know, as Satya Nadella says, we're here to make you guys cool and make our customers cool. So we do, I personally live by that. That is really important for us. And so in terms of a partner getting engaged on Surface Hub, I mean, I think the first thing, as I would say, is talk to your distributor and talk to Tech Data around how about getting on board. And obviously, when we engage with a reseller, what we like to see is, one, understand where they want to go with their business. You know, what's their plan to engage customers on the Surface devices. We do recommend as well to do some initial training. I don't personally think it's too onerous. There is some online training that we provide as well around sales, marketing, and use IT. It's the IT Pro training and user adoption. So there's 3 courses. They're roughly about an hour online that we recommend partners to take. And if they want to walk up to more competencies, then of course there is also the option to walk up the levels to get silver and gold. We do recommend that partners have a Surface Hub, because it's hard to sell Surface Hub on a PowerPoint and a picture. We all know that. Yeah. And I know that you know, Tech Data has also a means to enable resellers to leverage and get access to devices if the partner's not ready yet to buy a Surface Hub. But I would say is start the conversation, make sure your team are trained, consider about how you're going to engage your partners, what services you can leverage as well from Tech Data, from you. So and let's build a plan together. And we have a whole host of sales and marketing assets. We do regular online training as well to help you on the journey. Amazing.
Thanks, Catriona. Really good point. And we actually have another colleague of ours of mine on this call, Sven. I think, Sven, you've had a question come in, or you want to raise a point?
No, we've had a question come in, and very good to know that Microsoft has so many assets that can help you build business with Microsoft Surface Hub. We've also heard that Microsoft will offer more into the Teams ecosystem in general. So one of the questions we've gotten from the audience is if there is any specifics or more to be known about the integration between MTR and Microsoft Surface Hub, and how do you see that evolving?
So you know, we're part of the same coin, the same ecosystem. So obviously we continue to push the MTR with our OEM partners and also on the first party. So what we will be really looking around is the customer experience, and we will be, in the coming months, we will be elaborating more on the customer experience for a customer who is looking at both devices, you know, in terms of how they choose which solution, and equally how they can operate, you know, the interoperability between the two. So you could have, you know, you could have an ecosystem where you have, you know, some rooms with MTR and other rooms with Surface Hub. So we're twins. We will be pushing the message together on the back of Microsoft Teams. But again, it's coming down to the usage scenario of the customer and the meeting space, and really what works best for how they want to use that space.
No, I think really valid points there, Catriona, and certainly from, if I think about the 50-inch particularly, and possibly even the 85 as well, you know, let's say there's 20 meeting rooms and MTR has perhaps been deployed in all of them or the majority of them, but then to me it's a real good add-on to bring in 2 or 3 Surface Hubs on a cart that you can move around from room to room and have that you know, that working together experience. You can have your collaboration and your ideation through the Surface Hub. Use the coordinated meetings capability of MTR and Hub together, and then you get the best of both worlds. You know, the audio video to the bigger audience using the MTR and the ideation with the Hub, and we're starting to see more people looking at that as a real idea, a real solution, suggestion. I think as well, the other bit I would add there, there's been a lot of growth both in Hub but also in MTR in the last 12 months, even with the pandemic situation. And I think the decision has been made a lot by IT, because the IT manager, or sorry, the CEO has gone to the IT manager and said, you need to find me a solution so I can do video calls. They've perhaps gone down the line of least resistance and ordered a simple kit that they can set up very straightforwardly. But when people do return to the office, it then becomes more of a people decision. And people will be saying things like, yeah, but I need to get stuff on a whiteboard. I need to drag things in. I need to, you know, I need to have a meeting in the open space there, not locked in this room. And then I think we'll see a bigger uplift of Hub opportunities coming out as well. And obviously with the explosion of Teams, what is it, 25 million to 115 million daily active users during 2020, you know, people are going to be using Teams everywhere, and that, for me, the ability to take it as a complete business workflow from your Hub to your MTR to your desktop, it's just a great seamless experience.
Yeah, it's actually, you're right, and it's been really interesting. You know, we've seen customers, they've, you know, on the back of Teams, they've pulled, with COVID, they pulled forward their rollout or their deployment plans for Teams. They really accelerated that, and as Teams usage increased, and it massively increased, then they started to think, okay, well then we have the right devices to be able to make the most of what I've got with Teams. And that's where we then saw, okay, I've got Teams now, I really want to make sure, can I use Surface Hub? How can Surface Hub help me? And Surface Hub, it's really around having as close to a real life experience of collaborating with someone. You know, sometimes when you're in a meeting and there's a Surface Hub as well, and people are joining remotely, what you see is you can actually hear them better than the people in the room. They're also sometimes bigger in the sense of real space, depending on the screen. So yeah, I think people, one of the challenges, and I think we can all agree, is, you know, getting customers to do a proof of concept during the pandemic has been challenging. I think, but when you walk up and you touch the device and you start to write and try it out, basically, that's when you really start to say, oh wow, it can do this. You can really understand what it can do for you.
Yeah, I think one of the one of the sentences I wrote down, or bullet points I wrote down when we were talking about today, was measuring the value of the experience is intangible, and that's so true when it comes to Surface Hub. It's I remember going back 3 or 4 years when we had the first one on the stand at ISE. You see people smile when they walk up to it and you know, they touch it for the first time, and it's simple. It puts a smile on your face. It's crazy to say that about a piece of technology, and maybe I'm sad, but you know, it is intangible, but that value of experience is essential.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really cool as well to see how people are using the hub. I think the more they use it, the more they discover different uses for it. And so what we've seen, you know, when I see in education how they're using the Surface Hub to really, I mean, a lot of universities we saw at the start of the pandemic, they literally ran to other hubs so they could switch to remote teaching and learning. So that was one. We saw, you know, hospitals run to use it for command and control. Previously, they used to have multidisciplinary meetings, you know, where they bring different members of the team together to work on cases. They couldn't have them in the same room because it was too small. So they you know, they needed a hub. And then we've also seen, you talked about the fact that you can, you know, the hub is now mobile, the 50-inch, you can, because of the battery, the APC battery, you can move it around. And, you know, we've seen it brought into consultants' rooms to now help as well, because they can move around from bed to bed, so to speak.
And even exec home offices, I believe we've certainly seen a few cases where business executives are using Hub at home, and then eventually, I guess, when they return to the office, they'll take it back with them. Not if their kids have anything to do with it, I'm sure.
We've seen that, yeah. We call them the hostage hubs.
Right.
We saw some of the Microsoft team, the minute the lockdown, they ran to secure the hub and bring it to their house. So yeah. With Windows 10 Enterprise, of course, you can even make it almost like a personal PC. So yeah, they're definitely in the homes as well. And actually, that is one of the scenarios we will be talking about. For those people that need to work remotely, have a 50-inch hub in the home, so it will be an area that we will. Yeah,
it actually brings me not deliberately but perfectly onto something else I wanted to ask you about. One of our team was saying the other day that he feels there's been a real shift in mindset about providing collaboration devices to the workforce, and the analogy he used, which I thought was brilliant, is, you know, for decades now we've spent thousands on company cars for employees, for example. You know, we think nothing about spending €500 a month to give the guy or girl a car to go and visit their customers. With technology as a service offerings now widely available in the market, should we be thinking about doing the same with Hub? You know, for €300-400 a month, whatever it works out to be, it's a relatively small investment compared to a car, for example.
Absolutely, and we see already some of our partners, including yourselves, Tech Data, offer this sort of option to consume a device and to spread the spend. I mean, there are, you really have to think about the savings that you can make, you know, not just in terms of the productivity improvements, because people can collaborate better together. The fact that now you have remote workers as well who will choose to stay and will continue to work from home. And so we need to make sure that the team are as effective as possible. Reduce travel costs, like you said, yeah. You know, you spend in a company car, I don't know how much a month, and what, you know, and one of our councils took the hub simply because they could reduce travel costs. The customer experience as well. Some of these things you can't really measure. The fact that you can engage better with a customer. And then there are other, you know, because everything is on the Surface Hub, you know, you can minimize some external other equipment that you may need to buy for the meeting space. And then, you know, there are tangible and intangible benefits, I think, that you really need to weigh up in your decision. to invest in the Surface Hub. And I think we've definitely seen with customers that there is an ROI, a clear ROI and a payback, and we've done that with our own Forrester study over 15 months. We can see that.
Got it. No, good. I see we're getting close to time, if not at time. But Sven, there's a couple of questions there that I think you've answered with a message. Are they ones to bring into the call as well, or?
Well, there was one specific question on how you can buy a demo Surface Hub, and that's actually a great question. It is very simple. Just contact your local Maverick team, get onboarded for Surface Hub, and then you get access to the demo units, and you can start selling Microsoft Surface Hub. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and there is a specific question around the Microsoft Whiteboard client in an MTR environment in comparison to a hub environment. Whilst acknowledging from the question that it is a different experience today, it's probably not something that any of us on this call can answer in great detail. But it's down to a Microsoft roadmap question or decision, really. But we will highlight it to the Microsoft team. We love to hear the feedback from the channel, so that we can put our feedback into the Microsoft core team as well. My general opinion is that I'm seeing that the MTR and the hub teams and the experience of using Teams and the experience of using Whiteboard, the aim as much as possible is to make it as seamless, regardless of the device that you're on. So I think you will see some interesting changes. The same with Teams Rooms for Android. That common interface. As they sort of roll out, I know Microsoft are keen to make sure it feels the same.
Absolutely.
Good. Great. I think we're there. I think we've covered most of the questions. Catriona, thank you so much for my time. I realised, by the way, I didn't introduce myself at the start of this call. So if anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Simon Kitson, and I'm the Smart Meetings Director for Maverick in Europe. So apologies for talking at you for the last half an hour and not telling you who I was. But Catriona, I really appreciate your time. Really appreciate your insights. It's been great to chat today, and I hope everyone watching has taken something from it.
My pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity as well to talk to you and your partners on the call.
Great. Good. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.